Thank you guys for coming out today. By a show of hands, how many can say they have registered as an organ donor? Okay. For those of you who haven't, why not? Is it something you don't agree with? Perhaps you've never thought of it. Although your organs aren't keeping you alive, it could keep someone else alive. You could play a big role in giving someone a second chance at life. Like the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says, even though 145 million people in the U.S. have registered as donors, we need all people to sign up. Being an organ donor is a life-changing experience. You may not experience it yourself, but there are lives changed every day. The Cleveland Clinic describes organ donation as the process of removing an organ from one person, the donor, and surgically placing it in another person, the recipient. There are 113,714 people today waiting for an organ. If that number alone doesn't make an impact on you, then think about these statistics. 36,528 transplants were performed in 2018 alone because of people that signed up. However, 20 people a day die waiting for a transplant. Each year, the amount of people who need an organ exceeds the amount of people that actually want to donate. This graph, ending in 2017, shows the amount of donors, the transplant, and the waiting list. The yellow represents the amount of people who signed up to donate. The blue represents the amount of transplants that were performed. Only 34,770 transplants were performed, with 16,473 donors. The pinkish purple represents the amount of people still on the transplant list, waiting for an organ. That number totals 115,000 people. Today, I will be talking about organ donation and why you should become an organ donor. By the end of my presentation, you will understand the importance of donation and be faced with credible facts that prove it is the right thing to do. Think about the statistics just mentioned while we dig deeper into organ donation and what it really means. There are two types of donations. There's deceased donations and living donation. With deceased donation, your organs will be donated once a doctor officially pronounces you either brain dead or no longer alive. Whereas living donation, you get the chance to donate an organ while still alive to save someone else. People may think you have to be a living donor, but you don't. You can sign up to be a deceased donor, and once you're deceased and no longer able to live, your organs will be donated. One person can save up to 8 lives. You can donate the heart, the lungs, the liver, the pancreas, the kidneys, and the intestines. That means that one donor can save up to 8 lives. But if you don't think you can donate those organs, there are other things you can donate, such as eyes and tissues. 95% of U.S. adults say they support organ donation. However, only 58% are signed up. If you fall into that 95% of people who support it but haven't signed up, organdonor.gov is a good source to find out information if you think organ donation is something you would consider. Now that you know a little bit about organ donation, let's dig deeper into how life-changing it can be. Organ donation is life-changing not only for the recipient, but for the donor also. In 2018, 10,722 donors were deceased and 6,831 were still alive. That means over 17,000 lives were changed, the donor and the recipient. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says it best as donor families turn loss into hope and lives are transformed. Take, for instance, famous actress and singer Selena Gomez. At a young age, she was diagnosed with lupus and received a kidney transplant at the age of 25. The lupus was causing harm to her organs and her overall health. Without this transplant, there was a possibility she wouldn't make it very long. In an Instagram post with a picture of her and her friend, she says, "There aren't words to describe how I can possibly thank my beautiful friend. She gave me the ultimate gift and sacrifice by donating a kidney." Selena Gomez's donor, her best friend, made a comment in an interview with W Magazine which was later reported by the Global News, saying, "I am beyond grateful that God would trust me with something that not only saved a life, but changed mine in the process." We all have that chance to change someone's life. After hearing an inspiring story such as Selena's, there are many others who have life-changing stories. Kids and adults receiving second chances at life. How can that not inspire you to want to be an organ donor? Here are some simple ways you can sign up. It all begins with a personal decision to change a life. It's never too late, and any day is a good day to become a donor. There's 2 ways to register. You can register online, or you can register at your local motor vehicle department. By not registering, you're missing out on so many opportunities. Organ donation becomes a time of hope for families. There's a big impact with that one decision. No one says you have to be a living donor, but consider becoming a deceased donor and changing a life. You could save a mother, a father, a grandparent, give them the chance to see their kids grow up. You could possibly even donate your organs to a child so that they can have a life to live. How many of you think that organ donation can be a life-changing experience? And how many would now consider it? Thank you for listening, and please consider leaving behind the gift of life. Thank you.